Button. Don't hit the button.
Oh my God. Hey, welcome to a oddly timed episode of the Council on Future Conflict. My name is Scott. I am the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today, we're talking about this Israeli strike on Iran, and we're going to try to prognosticate what comes next. Yeah, so I wake up here in Korea, and like you guys, we all had a pretty good idea that hey, something was going on with Iran and Israel, and a lot of that had to do with the kind of the warnings that were going out via diplomatic channels and whatnot. And that was going to be one of the things that we talk about on the Friday morning show, which, now that we're in this kind of off timing thing, we'll see how we kind of reschedule regular shows. But I get the feeling that we're going to have weird timing going all weekend. So, and we may have longer shows and we may have more shows. So we'll see how it goes. Okay. So if you're just tuning in and you haven't been following what's been going on this morning, basically, Iran was attacked by Israel. The stated purpose is to eliminate the military threat against Israel, specifically the nuclear threat. And to that end, military leadership and nuclear sites have been bombed. Israel has come out and admitted this. The Iranian media has corroborated this and has also basically said, yes, several of our key leaders have been martyred. And so we're going to kind of dive into like what we know that's going to happen. And we're going to try to figure out what we think will happen going forward. And I'll be honest with you, this is going to be, Israel's already said this. This is going to be a multi-day event. Is the U.S. involved? I think probably from the intel standpoint, we probably are. That being said, I don't think we're probably operationally involved in the direct strikes. And I hope we stay that way. Israel can handle it themselves. A lot of these countries that we've taken years to build up can handle themselves. So like, for instance, and then, there's a lot of other kind of nuance that we need to kind of poke around on this. And, so for instance, the Democrats are continuing. I mean, I haven't looked in the last hour, if I'm honest, because I've been really focusing on like what targets have been hit and things like that. But as of about an hour and a half ago, the Democrats' heads were completely in the sand. They were still talking about like that court case, where they basically said they couldn't nationalize federalize the National Guard. They were focusing on these immigration issues, which are a total loser for them. And so this is this is the head in the sand Democrats that we've seen for so long. So we're going to talk about that. So is this coordinated fully with the United States? I don't know. So the question, did Israel kind of jump early? Were we expecting something, but we didn't know exactly when it was going to come? Or was the Trump administration fully informed? I mean, we saw recently with that Ukrainian sneak attack against Russia, the White House basically said we had no idea. Ukraine didn't tell us about this. So I'm hoping that we don't have that kind of a misstep here. But it's looking like we had warning, maybe not super specific warning, but we had warning based on the diplomatic warning. Kind of there was a authorized departure from Kuwait and Qatar, and I think a couple other countries around the Middle East. So there was definitely some warning within the federal government. And the reports are that the president has been watching the show from the Situation Room. That would indicate to me that there is some understanding of exactly what's going on. So I think that's probably the right answer, and we'll probably hear more about that. So what are other interested parties looking at? What's the coordination with, say, countries like Russia, Turkey? These are kind of big players in the region. What about the Gulf states? Were they informed? I mean, I can tell you right now, the Gulf states are probably thumbs up. We can't say it, but thumbs up. We'll dive into that question and what are the implications there. Syria, we've talked about them. HTS has basically kind of said this. The HTS-backed government, which is Jelani, has basically said that ultimately he wants to have a good relationship with Israel. So what does this do to that? Do we see Syria respond? Because the HTS folks were not fans of the old regime, which is who Iran was propping up. So I think it's very much they may follow the Gulf nations and basically kind of keep their big mouths shut, if you will. And then evidently we're on a second round of attacks right now. That was announced about an hour ago, I think. There was a first round and then a second round. The thing to me is that the Iranian leadership seemed to be absolutely flat-footed about this whole thing. They seem to be completely out to lunch, and the fact that they were able to keep to catch several of their military leaders, in locations, makes me feel like that the intel was exquisite. And the surprise was total. And I think we may be seeing, we've talked in the past about cognitive biases when looking at information. And I think we maybe see some of that cognitive biases taking shape in real time in Iran, like normalcy bias, optimism bias. These are the kind of things that would say that would have them discount information that, come on, or what was a Wednesday show, Watcher? We were sitting here talking about this is probably going to happen soon.
I have been saying that the moment, the only thing Israel was waiting for were the end of the peace talks. And so the minute Iran ended those peace talks, the leaders that made that decision signed their own death warrants.
Yeah. All right. So I'm kind of scanning some of my news sources to see what's updated. Let's see. As of 10 p.m. Eastern time, we've got daylight. Daylight is broken in Tehran, and we're starting to see pictures of damage on buildings. The U.S. Embassy in Israel put out its shelter-in-place order. Basically says, as a result of current security situation, U.S. Embassy has directed all U.S. government employees and their families to shelter in place until further notice. This is provided for your information to make sure you make your own security plans. So there is definitely the word is getting out.
Oh, this says breaking, but it's not. It shouldn't actually be news. It says not a single IAF pilot has reported a single anti-aircraft fire from Iran in any of the waves that they've gone through. Which, I mean, yes,
Yeah,
we literally destroyed all of their anti-air.
Pull up that X post from Tyler Rogaway, the one, and it's if you go to the TWZ article, it's under the 10:50 p.m. Update. It basically says the same thing. So we've got a lot of different sources. Unlike the regular show where we have our sources all kind of pre-posed and everything like that, this is going to be a little more So yeah, pull this one up. It says no signs of his Iranian air defenses reacting. Could be the weapons used, especially the air-launched ballistic missiles, or they have hacked their integrated air defenses, or both. Latter is Israel's specialty. So if you're not sure, if you're not aware of history, Israel did the same thing to Syria back in I want to say it was the 90s, maybe early 2000s. Anyway, and they from the air live during the attack, they hacked the integrated air defense systems and actually shut down the air defense systems of the Syrian army, and they were able to essentially hit the targets and destroy them all without any real. What does that say? I can't see it.
I'll tell you what this means, Norm. No size restrictions and screw the limit.
Exactly right. So Israel, if you guys remember, a couple months ago, we had Israel basically completely destroy the integrated air defense system of Iran. Now, some of that has been reconstituted with some help from probably China and Russia, and maybe some other countries that I am just off the top of my head not aware of. North Korea comes to mind as a friendly nation to Iran, but let's be honest, that's kind of the end of their besties list. And it appears that either there was more damage done to that integrated air defense system than we thought, or they've basically taken whatever they had set up and rendered it, inoperative, and then destroyed it in place. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of cell phone video come out. By the way, I want to give a shout out to the CFC fan chat over on X. You guys have there's a lot of stuff in there too. You guys have been doing the Lord's work as far as putting out updates and things like that. So if there's something new that pops up during the show, if you guys are in there, just drop the link in there, and we'll kind of be. We have several feeds that we're kind of scanning, and we hope to update that. Right.
Let's take a second before we go further and say thanks for all the gift memberships.
Yeah. By the way, there have been several, and they started before the show even came on. Hunch the Dirty Roofer gifted 5 subscriptions over on Rumble. Thank you, brother. You're a mensch. This isn't Mossad Monday, but we can get all Hebrew-y today. Wrench Turner 1942 gifted 5 subs. Thank you, brother. You're a big supporter as well. And Loki LARP gifted 5 subs. Thank you guys. This support is very. It will allow me to pay Watcher this month. Penis Age Helicopter Tours for $1 says, do the Democrats embrace the far left and break the anti-Israel emergency class, or is the war the left's revenge? I'll be honest with you. I think the problem with them is a cognitive disconnect, right? It's like they're going to have a hard time breaking away from the kind of the biases that they've already put in place. What's up?
Are you all right if we make this a dual purpose U.S. Riot stream? Because apparently they're still doing that.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of work through this thing here, develop your sources, and then just kind of we'll go back and forth as needed. Terry Nee for $2 says thanks. No, thank you, brother. Let's see. We've got. I'm curious.
So the next one was Netanyahu saying that they targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. They also struck the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program.
Where was that at?
So this was the Phil Stewart tweet. It's just like the second one down in the story, or the third one down in the story.
Let's see. Iranian state television has confirmed the country's airspace will remain closed for an undetermined period of time. Yeah, go to that Brady Afric post that's in the same story with all the air travel.
Yeah, let me. There's a lot of tweets in there.
I know. There's that's the flight radar one.
Okay.
Where you can see in real time what happens to Iranian airspace.
Okay. There's Elent News. There's Evergreen. Ooh. We need to check Evergreen later. She's good. She's got good shit. Tyler Rugway. No signs of Iranian air defense.
No. Now go go two lower. Not that one. Oh. That one. Yeah, play that one. So what you can see here is the real-time tracking of the airspace as this thing started. Probably what you saw was literally a NOTAM put out by Israel over the airspace as they began, and you can see even Iraq basically cleared up as well. So yeah, that's It's like when you plunk a big old rock in the middle of a school of fish. They just make this circle around it. Israeli officials continue to stress there's more to come for Operation Rising Lion. That's, by the way, that's the name of this operation. Especially absent more active U.S. support, Israel lacks the capacity to sustain very high long-range sortie rates. Yeah, so that's where if you see us get directly involved, the most likely aspect of that would be like tanker support and maybe radar support, things like that. Now we've heard a report of a U.S. base in Iraq getting struck. So if the way to give the Pentagon the easy button to get involved is by doing that, which means that's a pretty stupid thing that they could do. This is a Israeli IDF spokesperson. If it's in English, let's go ahead and play it.
The first part's not. Let me see if he repeats it in English.
Yeah, a lot of times
it's not.
All right. If we can get, I think Netanyahu did something in English, but I'm not sure.
He did, yeah. If you want the Netanyahu video, I can grab that. It's 7 minutes. It's pretty good. Hold on. Bibi. Let's find the Bibi video.
Yeah, by the way, there's no signs of the U.S. Supporting, by the way, through refueling or any other way, but that'll come to light later. All right.
So it's a public statement. Do you want to just play it all the way through?
Well, yeah, just play it, and when it becomes repetitive or whatever, we can push pause.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. In recent years, Iran has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs. 9. In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before, steps to weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival. 80 years ago, the Jewish people were the victims of a Holocaust perpetrated by the Nazi regime. Today, the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime. Now, as Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal. Tonight, Israel backs those words with action. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program. Last year, Iran fired 300 ballistic missiles at Israel. Each of these missiles carries a ton of explosives and threatens the lives of hundreds of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the lives not of hundreds, but of millions. Iran is gearing up to produce 10,000 of those ballistic missiles within 3 years. Now just imagine 10,000 tons of TNT landing on a country the size of New Jersey. This is an intolerable threat. It too must be stopped. Iran is now working on what it calls the new plan to destroy Israel. You see, the old plan failed. Iran and its proxies try to encircle Israel with a ring of fire and to attack us with the horrible attack of October 7th. But the people of Israel, the soldiers of Israel, rose like lions to defend our country. We crushed Hamas, we devastated Hezbollah, we hit Iranian proxies in Syria and Yemen. And when Iran directly attacked us twice last year, we struck back inside Iran itself. Yet in defending ourselves, we also defend others. We defend our Arab neighbors. They too have suffered from Iran's campaign of chaos and carnage. Our actions against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria. The peoples of those two countries now have a chance for a different future, a better future. So too do the brave people of Iran, and I have a message for them. Our fight is not with you. Our fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 46 years. I believe that the day of your liberation is near. With that,
all right, so a lot of good stuff there. I kind of lays out the case for why they're doing what they're doing. Pete, nice to see you.
Pleasure.
Interesting evening.
Yeah. Like I said, I was outside playing with the kiddos and came back and there was war.
Yep, that's right. I just woke up and it literally had just happened. Like I was doing my, I got the day off today. Today is what's called a day off, no scheduled activity. And so, yeah, that's right. And so I was sleeping in this morning and like literally it must have literally happened right as I woke up because like all the posts were like about 10 minutes old when I saw it. Here is a White House statement, by Marco Rubio. Tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in the strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all steps necessary to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target the U.S. interests or personnel. But, I mean, that pretty much says that we want to try to stay out of this and that Israel's got it. That being said, Pete, what do you think of the likelihood of them or their proxies not being able to leave well enough alone?
Well, I think that Iran in itself is probably smart enough. Their proxies, as you go down further the line, is going to be harder to control.
Yeah.
And I think part of the attack was also to initiate a response, right? In order to possibly draw in the United States, other partner nations, or even their proxies, right, to escalate it, because they do have a vested interest in the total destruction of Iran. But it also kind of begs the question, does the United States have the ability to do such? Right?
Well, I mean, I think we do have the ability. It's just a matter of whether we really want to. Like, I think one of the smartest things Trump could do would be literally to let this happen without getting directly involved.
Totally agree. I could not agree more. That the best thing, nothing on the part of the United States. Let it play out. Make it known, right? Do not make our personnel in the Middle East or really anywhere that they can range us a target.
Well, one of the things that I think will be interesting to watch what happens, because we talked about this, I think it was on Wednesday, because one of the stories we talked about the odds and ends was the Israelis attacking Yemen directly. How does Yemen figure into this whole thing? Because Yemen has been surprisingly capable of hitting Israeli targets and actually doing damage. So do they join the fray with full effect?
Yeah.
Or do they basically kind of like take a wait and see attitude? I think they jump in full, both feet in. So I can't imagine they can get out of their own way. And the other thing that I think will be interesting to see is Israeli action. Like one of the things we reported on in that story on Wednesday was the fact that it was Israeli Navy that was doing the kind of the back and forth against Yemen, that the Yemeni port. And so it's interesting to see if the Israeli Navy starts becoming more direct against the Iranian Navy, which is in the Red Sea, which is in the Gulf of Oman, Anan, and it is in the basically everything all the way up to the Persian Gulf. So,
that honestly, like, I don't know how big the Israeli Navy, nor do I know how large the Iranian Navy is. Just being an Army guy, it's just something I really thought about.
Yeah, same here. I don't.
So that's probably something that I need to read up on.
That's what my Joe is for.
That's what ChatGPT is for, right?
that's right.
But it kind of. Operation Praying Mantis, is that when Reagan ordered like the destruction of essentially all the Iranian Navy?
Yeah, basically the Iranian Navy and a lot of the military platforms. Let's see. Let's see. You posted that X post in the chat.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I was reading that the UAE commentator.
Yeah, let me read this. Let me read this, because I think this probably is going to reflect the sentiment that you're going to see within the kind of well-connected Gulf states. What unfolded in Tehran tonight is not just an airstrike; it's an inflection point. A sovereign capital was penetrated. Strategic nodes, not symbols, were hit. Command centers, not outposts. The targets were not chosen for optics, but for consequence. This is the collapse of ambiguity. For years, the Iranian regime thrived in a gray zone, projecting power through proxies, cloaking escalation behind the diplomacy, exporting ideology beneath the veil of resistance. That model just took a direct hit. This moment is not about Israel or Iran alone. It's about the architecture of deterrence in a world where lines blurred too long. What was once warned is now real. Deterrence isn't declared, it's demonstrated. Legitimacy isn't inherited, it's earned through responsibility. And so the strategic question isn't what happened tonight, but what paradigm died with it. The answer, the illusion that rogue ideologies could indefinitely hold nuclear ambition without provoking their own reckoning. This isn't a regional drama. This is a global system confronting the price of delayed clarity. And clarity has arrived, not in a speech, but in precision, not through negotiation, but through demonstration. This is a great point. Deterrence, the whole thing behind deterrence, and Pete, I'll throw this to you here in a second, is that if you do X, I'm going to respond in a negative way towards you, right? I'm going to do something to hammer you back into what I think is your kind of lane. Like, listen, nobody's not saying that countries like Iran don't have the ability to defend themselves. Nobody's going after their tank arsenal or their air defense or navy or they're going after the fact that they want nuclear weapons. And the one thing that Iran has proved that they can do very well is commit terrorist acts against people in what they feel is a completely unconstrained and free way. So, Pete, just kind of talk about the Iranian model and how this kind of applies to what this guy said and why deterrence is going to bring this potentially back into balance.
No, I got to digest this a little bit because the Iranian model is to essentially forever or to indefinitely say that, hey, we're going to get the bomb, or essentially like what Iraq was doing up until between 91 and 2003, playing games to prolong their ability to get a nuclear a device, and in the meantime using proxies to kind of poke the bear, aka Israel, while they kind of sit back and focus on, I guess, more strategic projects such as nuclear weapons. My only, I guess, my critique of this is, would this inhibit people or rogue countries or rogue nations from trying to acquire a nuclear weapon, or would it actually entice or to kind of provoke people or rogue nations to seek nuclear weapons? Because his belief is that it would give them pause, deter them, give them pause. But if you're attacking them because they don't have a nuclear weapon, then.
But they're not attacking them because they don't have a nuclear weapon. They had 20 years, 30 years of not having a nuclear weapon in which Israel did not attack them.
I guess what I'm saying is it's like the Libya model, right? Libya, you gave up all your nuclear weapons, you gave up, peaceably, on the behest of George W. Bush, and then you get overthrown and you sodomized in the street.
That's a great point, and this shows the difference between the model that would be, say, embraced by Donald Trump, which is kind of this current model that's going on right now. Hey, if you don't do X, we are going to do Y, right? And if we don't do it, we got our little pit bull here in the Middle East, Israel, that can do it for us, right? Because it's not us you're threatening; it's them that you're threatening directly, right? I mean, let's not forget the Iranians basically have stated that Israel can't exist, and they are committed to destroying the state of Israel. So keep that in mind, right? Now, take the other side, the Democrats, right? I've already reported this morning that this evening that it seems like the Democrats' heads are firmly implanted in the sand, and they are not kind of like focused on this. They're focused on their domestic, bugaboos, right? And so because of this, you have policies like what you saw Secretary Clinton and President Obama execute that allowed the Arab Spring to basically take out the reformed Muammar Gaddafi, who literally said, "Listen, I want to get on the side of the good." After basically 9/11, he basically came to Jesus and became a good little dictator, right? And now let's be honest, we have always been okay with good little dictators who basically say, "Listen, you can oppress your people, you can run your program, you just need to do it within the rules that we have set up within the kind of the Western world order, right? In the kind of global hegemony that is the liberal democratic,
real politique,
right? Well, and we operated under that, from the 60s to the 80s very comfortably. It was only in the 90s when we started getting kind of like, oppression of your people is not a good thing. And so that's the kind of policies that break deterrence, right? Yes. Deterrence stops working because A, you don't hit the people who need to be hit, and B, you overthrow the people who actually. And like so I think what you're exactly right. Well, Egypt's a little different, right? It didn't fall in the same way, but ultimately it allowed the Muslim Brotherhood to essentially to come to power, right?
Sorry to interrupt you,
yeah,
gents.
ambiguity
Sorry to interrupt
is
you,
not a
gents,
way.
but hold on,
Go ahead,
gents. I
Yeah.
just a bit of breaking news.
Sorry.
Yep.
A Democratic judge has just ruled that Israel and Iran must come to peace.
Yeah, it's it is unconstitutional for them to go to war. All right. Let me go back to see if there's let's there. I'm just gonna feed you X post in the private chat, Watcher, because that might be easier than trying to directly to. This is this is a media piece by the IDF.
Yes. Okay. Share audio.
History is watching. What side do you want to be on? The one who's fighting for your future, or the one who's doing everything to make sure you don't have one? Decide before it's too late.
Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, you want to see the Democratic sentiment on this? Just kind of pull out of that video and go to the response. Yeah, right beneath it. I don't know if you've got the same one. Yep, that's it. Pull that up. This is essentially what your mainline American Democrat is basically saying.
Yeah. Look, I get that there are some people who, and I'm among them, right? Like I definitely don't want U.S. troops involved in this in any way, shape, or form. I will say though, look, I'll be the bad guy here. Iran, particularly, as foul and malignant as a lot of the terrible things in our society that have happened because of, and in European society that have happened because of mass Muslim immigration, Iran represents a far fouler stream of that ideology. And I get that some people say like we shouldn't have to pick a side of this. This happens a half world away. It's also happening in our cities, like literally in our own cities, because, and it's, look, we wish it wasn't that way. We wish that those people weren't here and that they weren't literally living amongst us, but they are. And so unfortunately in this new global environment, and this is a lesson I had to learn with Pakistan and India, right? Because there's one side of that, like I don't like either side of that, but there's one side of that I like a lot less. But somebody pointed out, hey, what happens if Pakistan and India really do come to blows? Where do the refugees go?
Yeah, they go into Iran, they go into Afghanistan, they go into
and
India.
Where are many of them already, and where will they continue the fight? Not in those two countries.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking for some. Go ahead.
No, it's the fact that sometimes you can't have a nuanced position. You can't say essentially what you said, Watcher, because if that makes sense as well.
Yeah, because it takes way too long.
Yeah. And in the world of 2025, you can't do that. And to the Israel rest in peace. I mean, that's just as infuriating. I mean, that infuriates me. And again, like,
and you're not even necessarily on their side.
Yeah, you don't want to see people. I don't want to see my buddy of mine who texted me right after all this went down. He's like, hey, just voicing his frustration, or the fact that I have friends still in service that could be sucked into a wider conflict yet again. And I said, like, again, what did I say? I said again, right?
Yeah.
And because that's kind of the issue, right?
Well, yes. So I want to transition us a little, because here's the thing, Israel is in Iran going on. I hope it remains in Israel and Iran, right? I hope that remains. But that being said, like we said, there's some really stupid people out there that could easily suck us into it. And let me just kind of give you and this will help us transition to the American, kind of, because I want to talk about the ground halt, and I think it's Houston. And then I want to talk about some other things, because there are some U.S. Kind of things happening with the protests and whatnot, because those are not going away. And this will be one of those kind of things that where like America does not do a good job of walking and chewing gum at the same time. And so it's like either Iran, like there will literally be a war with Iran and we will miss it. Or it will be we'll drop everything
else to deal with this.
Right. Or the protests that happen on Saturday will be completely, it's like unless it happened down your street, you won't hear about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just sent you a link.
I don't want Trump to be distracted.
Well, let's be honest. He's very good at being distracted.
That's my point. Yeah.
Let's see. We got a message from Stormy, member for 32 months. Thank you very much, my dear. Defund Blue Cities and Other Summer of Love. Someone come get all their coexist fucktards. Yeah, no, there's it's not just the coexist people. It's a broad spectrum of moron.
Definitely spectrum. I agree with you on
that. Where is this? Is this Tehran, Islamabad, Pakistan? Palestine? No. This is in America. I don't know if there's any audio with this. Yeah. So if you're curious what so what, right? If you're somebody who sees Israel's blowing up Iran, so what? You're not worried about a nuke because you're like, hey, listen, if Tel Aviv get nuked, ultimately it doesn't really affect me, right? Or except for maybe the price of gas goes up, right? Well, no. Here are the people that this will matter very greatly to. Now, I am not a Muslim scholar. I couldn't tell you if these guys are Shia or Sunni, but this seems way more Shia style to me, as far as the kind of the self-flagellation and all this kind of stuff. The Shia are very famous for that. That being said, with the green, it's hard for me to tell. That's a very kind of Shiite. I'm sorry, that's a very Sunni kind of thing with the green. So, but the point is that there are large populations of Muslims in America that could take this very personally and get activated very easily. When people have religion to fight for, it's scary how fast they can go high and right and essentially decide, go from being a gas station attendant on Monday to martyr by Friday.
Look, man, I'll tell you one thing. You want Trump's things to go down without another single hitch or another judge standing in the way? Wait for the first terrorist attack that happens on somebody that we can prove came over from the Biden administration. They will be loading up semis.
Here's another one, watcher. I just dropped it in the private chat. Basically, when your enemies tell you who they are, believe them and make ready. And we've been talking about like, hey, everybody's so comfortable now, not worried that now that Trump is in office. Well, listen to this and tell me if you think you should be worried or not.
Individuals who are Muslims, that they need to be those who try to make their aim, their goal, to transform the West into a land that's a land of the Muslim. That is our duty. That is our responsibility. The lands that we originate from, the lands that our parents originate from, and so on, these lands, Islam reached it because of the efforts of the companions who went over there and spread Islam.
Future of Islam in the West.
Alhamdulillah, the future is ours. Islam's going to spread. There's no doubt to it. The West is West, East, North, South, all going to be Muslim. Al-aqibatu lil-muttaqeen, the end and the victory is going to be for the believers.
Individuals who are Muslims.
All right, so
yeah, I do just want to say, because I can't help but say this every time I hear one of these idiots go off about that I want to point out something. They often will say, look at how high our birth rates are, and look at how much we're going to be able to. Is that PD? Look at how high our birth rates are. We're going to eclipse you in population. No. When your birth rates are adjusted for income levels, you're actually less than half of what we are. You're just very poor.
Well, I tell you what, a poor man can live an eternal life in heaven if he gives himself over to Allah and blows himself up, and he also gets all them virgins, in paradise too. Remember, so they. Let's be honest, they are not motivated by the same social motivation and societal gains that we are. In the West, we are very, specifically in America, we are individualistic, right? We may not be motivated by, say, money per se, but we see money as a way to get to things like security or to benefits for your children or whatever. So we work hard and focus on, obtaining wealth in a way that helps our family in a broader sense, right? So I wouldn't necessarily just discount them completely because they're poor.
No, but what I'm saying is that is generally their argument about why they're going to overtake the West. If they're not talking about it from purely their own ideological perspective, because Allah said that they are the ones who are going to inherit the earth. If they're talking, like, a lot of them will go into it and say, look, demographically, we're going to replace you. No, you're not. You're literally just going through a baby boom because you're incredibly poor. The exact same type of baby boom we went through during the Great Depression.
I'm going to share with you a account on X that purports to be, and it appears to be legitimate, news messages and statements from Imam Saeed Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader. And he says 16 minutes ago, with this crime, the Zionist regime has prepared itself for bitter, painful fate, which it will definitely see. He also said, in the enemy's attack, several commanders and scientists have been martyred. So they're confirming that Israel's BDA assessment is accurate. God willing, their successors and colleagues will carry on with the duties without delay. Well, ironically enough, I found this through the Imam of Peace. Now, for every Muslim out there who basically, let me put it this way. It's probably more like for every 1,000 Muslims out there who think the way this previous guy that we saw the video of thinks, there's at least one of these guys, I hope. And this is the Imam of Peace. And he says, in response to that Khamenei post, he says, you said that last time and then bombed a chicken coop.
Factual, by the way.
Yeah, and Watcher would know he's a chicken partisan, so he takes it very personal when you.
Yeah, well, that was before the chicken partisanship, but this was I distinctly remember this attack because Iran signaled, and they made a big deal of the fact that because I don't even remember exactly what the inciting incident was, but this was payback for something, and they launched it, and they went on and crowed about how much damage it had done and what a successful strike it was, and then reporters went and looked at it, and it was literally somebody's chicken coop in their backyard.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's not like
Speaking of, we got chickens today. We got new ones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Watcher, you were telling me that we had some interesting things going down in the U.S. You want to share a little bit of that? You've been doing the Riot Watch all week, so I want to give you kudos for that.
Thanks. I am unsure if this is related to the riot or if this is something else. In fact, there's a lot of things, chat, that we're going to have to start saying, hey, what is this actually involved in?
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing.
Security incident occurred at George Bush International Airport in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, in Houston,
ground stop was lifted, but it turns out that an SUV, black SUV, hit a gate at the George Bush International Airport and drove into the air operations area, so onto the tarmac. They've got the driver, but they haven't said what this was about or why. If I was going to make a bet, though, I would say that is probably somebody trying to shut down air traffic as a means to stop deportations. But we'll see. Could just be a crazy person. Maybe they were trying to see aliens.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, we've had so many kind of one-off crazies that have, who have done something that appears to be very kind of nefarious, but it just turns out to be, well, nothing. I mean, it's like an incident, right? It's an incident, right? And, it could be the standalone complex where some guy just gets fed up and he hates America and he wants to martyr himself. And so he does so.
This next one is a group of miscreants, though. These are apparently a group of ICE protesters inside the Delaney Hall Detention Center in Newark, New Jersey. They blocked cars from entering or leaving the detention center, and after 9 detainees escaped the facility, and around 50 inmates at Delaney Hall pushed down the wall of the dormitory room when meals were hours late, temporarily taking control of the facility.
Yeah, this is the Andy No post, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. So this is in Newark, New Jersey. Leftist open border insurrectionists who surrounded the Delaney Hall ICE facility. Agents to comply with their demands show that the vehicles are empty in order to be let in or out. This is the same facility was recently attacked. And so here's the problem is that the ICE people were basically forced by these people to actually comply with, like, in order to be able to leave, so like if that guy right there with the short hair, the gray shirt and the black tack vest right there, he was shown earlier. Actually, I'm going to share the link with you in the private chat. So go ahead and show the video I just shared with you and then come back to this one because it appears this one came first.
Against civilians. Show us what's inside of it. Show us what's inside of it. Show us good. You got for? What's it going for? This isn't Fallujah. This isn't Fallujah, motherfucker. You're not a soldier. You're a dumbass.
So basically, he's showing him that the van is empty, so they'll let it leave. And so any kind of level of acquiescing to the coercion of these mobs. I mean, gentlemen, this is not the kind of precedent you want.
I think we should show them what Fallujah looked like.
Yeah, I was just going to say, listen, I say this with all sincerity. This is not a joke or a jest or me being funny. These insurrectionists should be responded to with 240 gulps. That should be the end of it.
I think Lima's
now. And well, yeah, most of them would be Bravos, but the newer ones.
Okay.
Well, okay.
Gulfs are just the
kind of like iterating up or whatever.
Gulfs are just the janky ass ones that the Marines.
That's the ones that the Marines have.
Because they couldn't afford the Bravo package, which has nicer stuff on it.
Yes, it's literally the one we made ourselves. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so but I will bet that the FN mag was always a fucking beast of a machine gun. It was just a matter of time before. All right. So now you can play that other video, or we can go with. I can't remember if I share. Yeah. So this is the other. This is after they show them that it's empty. The leftists allow them to leave. Allow them. The fact that you cede any control at all to these people is a loss. Now, I shared with you a link from Data Republican. Now, while I emotionally I can all say we agree that with what Watcher said would be satisfying, this is actually the correct answer. So if you she Data Republican shared a post. So let's start with the one. Yeah. Okay. So that one. Let me make sure I've got that one.
Yeah. So this is the
that's
this is
the guy
I've gone over a couple of times.
Like this guy. Yeah. So this guy is a bad guy. And so basically this is her explaining. So arrested Alejandro Orellana was arrested this morning by FBI Los Angeles on an allegation of conspiracy to commit civil disorders for distributing face shields to suspected rioters on Tuesday. We're moving quickly to identify and arrest those involved in organizing and supporting civil disorder in Los Angeles. I think this absolutely needs to happen. That being said, they also need to make sure they're going after the people who supported this through the money and things like that. And look at, I mean, he's wearing Marine fatigues. He's got combat boots on in the back of that car. And so clearly this guy was, in action when he was actually arrested. And so Data Republic was like, okay, so who is this guy? He didn't buy the gear alone. So who funded it? And so this is what I want to talk about, because this is that kind of like higher level thing that we really should be going after. You got to follow the money in order to know who you actually go after. He didn't buy the gear alone. So who funded it? Who gave the orders? Who's bankrolling the chaos in LA? We don't have answers yet, but we can trace the web of groups he's tied to. And so if you go down her thread, his primary affiliation seems to be to Center CSO. He has been quoted at Center CSO sponsored rally and has been featured speaker in one of their events. And so, of course, there's some Marine Corps veterans. So he was a Marine Corps veteran turned conscious objector, Alejandro Orellana. And let's see, I don't even know exactly what the CSO does. Let's see. CSO's Alex Orellana, a former member of the military, gave a speech about sexual harassment and other forms of sexual misconduct towards service women he witnessed while in the armed forces. He mentioned the military's treatment of women, along with Trump's election, influenced his decision to become a defector. So he clearly sees this as some sort of a struggle of broader things, because he's defecting from whatever America is and going into. This is a tweet from Alex Jones. That this is the third image on that same post that you're sharing. Yeah. Distributed tens of thousands of dollars worth of face shields in Los Angeles to rioters, has been identified as Alejandro Orellana, a known member of the Brown Berets, a radical Latino paramilitary group that are currently embedded in cities across the United States. Now, Watcher, you and Joe were talking about these guys, right?
Yes. Well, we're talking about this guy specifically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The incredibly bad group. This is one of the main armed groups trying to pull off the Reconquista, or at least that's their stated goals.
Yeah.
La Causa.
He appears to be involved in the firsthand reporting for the Center CSO. So if you go to the next image, Los Angeles ICE chased out of Boyle Heights, Fight Back News. All very Marxist. I mean, like, you can't get any more, like, leaning into the whole Che Guevara kind of aesthetic and everything. I mentioned the Center CSO briefly in a prior thread. They don't have an EIN, which makes financing difficult to trace, but I'm keeping so she's going after the finance linkages. And if you guys have been following her previous reporting with the USAID kind of linkages, it's been pretty next level. So I would definitely give her a follow over on X. Lance Corporal Veteran for $2 says, conscious objector ain't objecting to treason. Yeah, exactly right. It's funny how it's like everything's fun and games until Uncle Sam actually comes knocking.
Also, like, probably not. We don't need to get into it, but treatment of women in the military. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Influence Watch claims let's see. The Center CSO's financing comes from a single anonymous donor. That donor very well would be very, very interesting to track down, she says. That may be overstated. The Influence Watch claim comes from a GoFundMe page, but these donations are old. So she's showing the receipts here. Carlo Montez, one of the leaders of the Centro CSO, is a co-founder of the Brown Berets and has helped fund Mecca, which Bullfrog 35 has covered. Let's see. Left-wing activist Carlos Montes has been listed as the leader of CSO. Montes protested Hispanic involvement in the Vietnam War and alleged racism in the Los Angeles school system. He co-founder of the Brown Berets, a Chicano nationalist group modeled after left-wing militant Black Panther Party. He helped found MECA, which is Movimiento Estudiantil de Aztlan, another Chicago movement. Yeah, go figure. Anything with a tough enough Mexican word in it that I can't pronounce has got to be like hardcore. Looking deeper into Montez's biography, so this Montez guy is basically behind the Alex Areno guy. It's really interesting when you start peeling back the layers of the onions on all these groups, and you're essentially finding private funding of terrorist groups that are in situ, right? They're ready to go. Now, is everybody on board with terror attacks? Well, maybe not, but it's one of those kind of things, Pete, we've seen in countries, it's the salami slicing towards something, and then all of a sudden, they're in the boiling water and they don't even realize it when it comes to these things.
Yep.
Exactly right. And so a lot of these supporters go from, saying, oh, I would never support terrorism to basically supporting terrorism without even realizing it.
And what should be also noted, and this was kind of a fact that people don't want to contend with here at the West, is many studies that came out of the insurgency in Iraq after they had time to kind of analyze it, and that came out around the 2008 time frame, around the surge, was that many of the hardcore surgeons, right, of these various organizations, were the children, or they themselves were upper middle class.
Yeah,
the most ardent adherents.
Well, I mean, that's the interesting thing, right? Is that like these so the first generation Islamic or Muslim migrants, for the most part, did not participate and go back to to join ISIS, right?
Yeah.
The people who joined ISIS were oftentimes these Western-born children who were disassociated from their home culture, and they saw this as a way to kind of get back into it.
They were LARPing, essentially.
Exactly right. They didn't appreciate what they had, and thus they were willing to essentially burn it down. Watcher, anything else on the domestic front that we need to kind of...
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going off. I'm seeing protests in Los Angeles, Seattle, New Jersey, New York. There looks like a little bit in Boston, several cities in Texas. Austin is looking like it's probably getting... Well, Austin rolled in a bunch of state troopers today, so it looks like Austin is expecting it to get hot. So we'll see how that turns out. Tucson exploded last night, which I wasn't even watching, and I apologize. I went offline too early. Seattle also popped off last night.
There's a significant Muslim population out that way, isn't there?
That's what I hear. But that was for Tucson was for the ICE stuff yesterday. So who knows what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
I'll keep I'll keep a weather eye out as far as Riot stuff goes, but why don't we dive back into the main event, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been just kind of like searching through stuff, and it seems like we're in the lull right now.
We're in between major world events.
Well, like in the hours between major world events, not between like the weeks between major world events. I'm just kind of going through some of the OSINT channels to see where what they're reporting. Israeli former Prime Minister Nafi Bennett, Israel's strike against Iran's nuclear program and military was vital and done at the very last moment possible. All Israelis, left and right, support this action of self-defense. Iran was about to get 10 nuclear warheads. So that's interesting. So we're hearing here that there's probably some intel that was projecting a very high likelihood of imminent nuclear weapon possession by Iran. I'll be honest with you guys, if we don't see a mushroom cloud over Tel Aviv in the next 48 hours, Iran never had a nuke. Because this is absolutely a use it or lose it.
Or
they were never serious about it.
Well, or Israel got there and took it out.
No. That's true. That's true. It could be that, but ultimately, once you get a weapon, it's easier to hide a weapon than it is to hide a weapons production facility.
Yeah.
And I think that if they had a weapon, they would immediately get it out of that facility to some other location.
Yeah, some hardened facility.
That's not to say that they couldn't.
We're also hearing that they had advanced Mossad strikes on the ground of literally the entire IRGC leadership corps. So, look,
that's actually something we haven't. That's something we haven't heard a lot of detail about. So I'm hesitant to speculate on the breadth and width of that until
I hear you. What I'm saying is we build a pattern based on their previous strikes. And what I'm saying is if there is a country that I believe has the intel on how much, where, and in what configuration Iran's nuclear material is.
Here's what I'm telling you. I think that if Israel thought they had a weapon, they would have gone sooner. Because the whole point is to deny them the ability to actually ever get a weapon. So yeah, this is the kind of the map of our nuclear sites in Nantes is one that we've got positive confirmation that they have struck that site. I'm sure all these others have been hit as well. It's just a matter of getting confirmation. Hey, Pete, I added you to the fan chat on X. Would you mind kind of going through there to see if there's anything interesting in there that we haven't really covered?
Okay, I was wondering what that was.
These guys do a
bunch
really
of Riot
great
stuff.
job.
If you want me to start, there's a bunch of Riot stuff. If you want me to just start pulling those videos.
Let's kind of go through the Iran stuff before let's try to have
fair. I was just meaning as far as what they're dropping in the chat right now. It's been Riot stuff for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I appreciate you guys staying up late with us, and I understand that some of you guys have got stuff going on, and you got to get to bed. Understandable. If you've got to go to bed, we appreciate you for being here at all. If you wouldn't mind, before you go to bed, just send the link out via your socials. Let people know if they want to get spun up on what's going on in Israel and Iran, that we're a good source of that.
I'm sorry. My daughter just walked in. I apologize.
That's all right.
So I'll be right back.
Yeah. Anyway, for all the jokes, Mossad being exactly right. I think Garrett's got a great point here. For all the jokes about the Mossad being behind everything, the Mossad has been nearly singularly focused on Iran's nuclear program for 25 years. I'd bet on their intel. Yeah, same here. I think that basically that's them saying that they know that those weapons are being ready to be manufactured, and that's why they went ahead and did this. What sites are these? Can you just kind of call out if it says where these are?
It's not saying. It just says Iran. Or so except for this one. This is the only one, and it's a separate post. So this is the Army Air Force Base in Kermanshah.
Okay. Yeah, Kermanshah. Yeah. So that's one of the. So there is there's a map on Vicegrad that basically has places that are confirmed to be struck. I'm dropping the link in the private chat. So at least you can kind of get an idea of where some of these strikes are happening. Tabriz, Kamrashat, Iraq, Isfahan, Nantes, and Tehran. residents reported seeing Israeli fighter jets in Tehran. One of Iran's top nuclear experts has been killed in the airstrikes. And based on that post from Khamenei, that we think that's pretty likely. Vicegrad's got some interesting. If you just kind of go down their feed, they've got some interesting videos. Pretty extensive videos of post-strike stuff. All right, let's see. I'm just kind of going through my sources here. President Trump, Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, and we are hoping to get back to the negotiating table. We will see. There are several people in leadership that will not be coming back. A reference to some Iranian leaders that have been killed tonight by Israel. that's kind of.
You want me to do this Vigilant Fox one?
Yeah. I thought that one was pretty good. That's about an hour old, but I think this is a Newsmax clip.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said one thing to me that really stuck with me, which is we fight or we die. The fact is Israel is constantly under threat, and it's hard for everybody around the globe to fully understand or appreciate this. But while we were there, the Houthis were launching missiles at Israel. The fact is that Iran's goal is to eradicate the state of Israel, and they will use any means necessary. And I don't blame the Prime Minister one bit for taking preemptive action here tonight and striking at Iran's nuclear facilities. And frankly, if the shoe was on the other foot, if America was attacked on October 7th, like we were on September 11th, nobody would be questioning our resolve or our response. And so I don't question Israel's. I stand with them. I stand united with them. Prime Minister Netanyahu's.
So, and I'm going to share another link with you here, Watcher. This is another, looks like another quote from Netanyahu. Okay, it's in Hebrew, so I'll just read the quote that's on, so you can show it if you want, but I'm going to read the quote here. There are no free wars. You may very well be required to stay in protected areas for a long time, much longer than we have been accustomed to until now. So I think there's a realization that this is like the big one, and they are absolutely going to have to kind of buckle down. And this is not the war they want. It's the war they have to have. Israel says Iran. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, never mind. There's no audio. So you're good.
Okay. So let's see. Fresh intelligence reveals Iran is rapidly approaching the threshold for nuclear weapons. The regime is producing thousands of kilograms of enriched uranium at decentralized fortified underground sites. Diplomatic efforts have failed over decades. Israel says that it's been left with no alternative, and the IDF will continue taking actions to defend its civilians. And so what this video basically does is just kind of lay out the case when it comes to the amount of enriched uranium that they're working with. And within a split second, the Iranian regime can decide to obtain a nuclear weapon. Israel has no other choice. So it's let's be honest. Based on what we've seen Israel doing, they're pretty fought out right now. 2 years almost of constant fighting in both Gaza and been involved in some significant operations in southern Lebanon. And even in Syria. So Israel is not like spoiling for a fight. The problem is that Israel's surrounded by a network of enemies fostered by Iran that have basically made it their mission to destroy the state of Israel. And so this is what's known as the existential crisis. So there's probably going to be some tough times for the Israeli people coming ahead. What's that? you're highlighting there?
The Nance nuclear facility.
Natanz. Yeah. You know, pardon our pronunciation. We just kind of pick one and go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The natty light.
Nantanz. I always put it like an E sound in there. Nantes. But there's not Tez. It's Nance. I think it's probably the closest one. Anyway. Anyway, so there's aerial imagery showing it's heavily damaged.
So here's the Iranian military spokesperson. Israel's attacks were aided by the U.S. and they will pay a heavy price and should expect a severe response from Israel or from Iran's armed forces.
I don't recommend that, Iran. I'm just saying.
There is word that they've already hit one of our air bases in Iraq.
Here's the Kermanshah. Let's see. This is Mario Nafal sharing video of the Kermanshah. Oh, sorry. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Private chat.
Got it.
Iran claims oil facilities are undamaged, fuel supply uninterrupted. We're seeing gas lines in Tehran. It makes me wonder if they are specifically going after military only and not the civil infrastructure and the civil kind of economy sites, specifically because of trying to kind of separate the people from the leadership. By the way, if you are watching us from YouTube, let's see, we got 117 watching on YouTube, 775 views over on X, and 103 over on Rumble. Greatly appreciate you guys for checking out our stream, trying to get informed on this stuff. We're kind of finding out live, like with you guys. So outside of like whatever kind of opinion analysis I have, I don't really have any great insight that you guys couldn't do. But we've gotten pretty good at finding this info through the years of doing the Council on Future Conflicts. So I'm glad you guys trust us to help inform you guys.
Hold on. I have too good of a Riot update. Okay,
let's see.
You guys that have been a part of the Riot Watch, this is too good. Do you remember the Watermelon Mobile? Attention chat. The Watermelon Mobile has been impounded. I repeat, the Watermelon Mobile is down.
Oh boy. Well, free Palestine and all that, I guess. What's the significance of the watermelon?
It's the Palestine. That's exactly. It's literally it's a Palestinian flag. Watermelon. That's it. My live stream concluded with several protesters surrounded and arrested. In addition to humans, the Palestinian mobile has been apprehended.
Ford Fisher goes back to the old school Riot Squad days.
Yeah, a lot of the really good ones are back out on the street. BG's back, Ford's back. Like several of them. It's been quite gratifying.
Well, if I remember correctly, Ford Fisher and a couple of the others, they were like the ones that covered the Kenosha riots. And we got.
In fact, I think Ford very specifically. It was a part of the Rittenhouse trial. I think he was literally the first journalist on the scene.
Yeah, he's the one I think who got the video of Homeboy's bicep getting evaporated.
Was it that, or was he the one who got the video of him chasing him through the parking lot, and then was the one who took Rosenbaum's quickly cooling remains to the hospital, because I'm pretty sure that was him.
Oh, okay. He was one or the other. Maybe it was there was a Hispanic guy, I think might be the other one who got the, because I remember I was watching that live. That was pretty crazy.
Same. Say I was doing a Riot watch that night on a previous account that no longer exists.
Let's see. I'm just kind of looking for. Oh,
it was okay. Yeah, chat's got me. It was Richie that was the first one in the parking lot. That was Richie.
Yeah. Richie McGinnis. Yeah. Drew Hernandez. Right. There you go.
It was BG who was there for the bicep. That's right. Thank you guys for correcting me. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, there were about 5 or 6 of those guys who were literally like Johnny on the spot at every big fucking riot that summer.
I've got video of a Iranian reporter on the ground in Nance or whatever we've decided it's called, Natsan. Although it's in Iranian, so.
Let's see. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff privately warned top Senate Republicans that Iran's retaliation to the Israeli strike on its nuclear program could overwhelm Israel's defenses and cause mass damage and casualties. I don't know, man. We've seen some rocket attacks on Israel thus far, but ultimately we haven't really seen what we would call like overwhelming, anything that I would call overwhelming.
Scott, I think Pace has us. I think that's it.
Not tens. I think
that's right.
You're probably right. I mean, I have been confidently mispronouncing names of places
for years
all across the world for years. So I don't know why. Let's be honest. If I can figure out the correct pronunciation, I'll do it. But a lot of times, like literally the first time I'll hear things said, but then the first time I read it, oftentimes is literally live on air sometimes, and I literally kind of discovery learning. So I pick something that makes me sound least stupid, and then just continue on and act like I said something brilliant.
I'm gonna laugh when we one day open up a mailing address so people can send us mail, and you get a bunch of Hooked on Phonics.
I know, right? That would be great.
Do you want to do this Fox broadcast?
Kaiser, hold a second. Kaiser John for 20 in the Rumble chat. Thanks for checking in tonight. Yeah. Hey, we appreciate you for being here too. You guys are really turned out for the show. So thank you all very much. You have many choices to watch when it comes to streaming entertainment, but we appreciate you for choosing us. Yeah, Pete had to take off. He, family stuff. I get that.
Oh my God. I got a Riot update. Although this is from an account that count this as suspicious, but we don't know, right? This is from Wall Street Apes, who has posted bunk before, but bricks being dropped off in Chicago.
Yeah, there's a lot of Loki LARP, another gifted 5 subs. Thank you, brother. Man, you guys are killing it tonight. You guys are really being supportive of the stream. Thank you.
Now, hold on a goddamn minute. That right there is not normal.
What are we looking at here?
Those are breeze blocks stacked up inside of a passenger subway car in the Chicago Metro.
Oh, yeah.
We have a problem.
Unless they're always there and we're just kind of taking it. Oh, Garrett Pace gifted 10 Future Conflict memberships over on YouTube. Thank you, brother. Yeah, ballast for a brake test. Yeah, see, that's literally what I thought of. It was the first thing I thought of was some sort of like testing ballast.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that could make sense.
Yeah,
that does make sense, JRH.
I see. This is here. As much as I love our side, we oftentimes go to the worst possible case scenario versus most likely case on a lot of things. So,
do we want to talk about a different event that just occurred today? That's relevant?
yeah. So I'll be honest with you, I don't have a lot of insight into this because it happened. I want to say like right before I was kind of going to bed last night. So,
oh boy. So
can you fill me in?
Yeah, actually, let me see if I can just grab a clip of it.
Well, I wonder if there's a zero hedge story on it. So.
There probably is.
Does this have to do with the Democratic judge ruling against Trump over the National Guard? Is it?
So Kristi Noem. So here's the deal. Apparently, they brought in the IRS, like an IRS strike force, into Los Angeles this morning. So a little bit of backstory that we've learned. The riots in LA actually began before they were being publicized. The riots in LA began because
last Thursday, right?
It was like the 8th. So
and by the way, real quick, that the whole thing that kicked this whole thing off was not an enforcement operation. It was a criminal operation against cartel human trafficking operation.
Well, specifically not. So human trafficking was a part of the operation, but the bigger part
money
was
too, right?
Got the IRS involved. Yes. So it turned out that the fashion district and a couple of companies in the fashion district specifically were acting as the major fronts for money laundering for the cartels, like billions of dollars per year back to Mexico. So they brought them in and they were going through all of their they were raiding warehouses to get their paperwork in order to try and catch them doing this money laundering. And suddenly, wouldn't you know it, rumors started flying around that they were there to pick up illegals on the streets and doing ICE raids. And so all of a sudden there was within minutes, there were a riot-sized crowd in the fashion district throwing down with ICE officers.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really suspicious stuff about that, and the irony is we haven't started finding out. It's almost been a week now since the first ones went off. I think it was last Thursday actually. So what's the deal with this?
Somebody sent me the arrest, but not the incident that provoked it. I'm trying to find the incident that provoked it, but I'll give you the pleasure of just the arrest first, because this is a different angle.
Dark Dave, did you take your ADHD? I don't take ADHD.
That's me.
I could use a monster probably. Who's this guy again?
I think he's a California state senator. He's an absolute nobody. Literally, Kristi Noem had to take him aside and be like, "Listen, I didn't know who you were. None of the security knew who you were. You just lunged at me. No one knew that you were a senator."
Yeah.
Are we going again tomorrow? Juan asks. I don't know.
I tell you what, if we go in the morning, I'm inclined to wrap it up here in the because I'm not seeing a whole lot of new developments going on with Israel. Let's see. I'm just kind of going through my stuff here.
Or was it Noam? Who the heck was it? He's the U.S. Senator for California. Oh, he is? Oh, Jesus. That's even worse. Literally nobody knew who he was.
Well, I mean, they're so superfluous.
Well, definitely they are a replaceable face. They vote the same, they act the same, they talk the same. It doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. So no, this shows right after he lunged. It doesn't show the lunge, but we'll do this.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen that you're rotating on your hands off.
Well, you know, but here's the thing. They're so fucking entitled.
It's true.
I mean, he honestly thinks he has he has the right to just kind of come in and
here we go. Longer clip.
All right.
Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
He was a state level senator and he got appointed by Newsom. Okay,
if you let my hands go ahead, behind my back.
All right, cool. Okay, good hand. Lay flat. Other hand, sir. Other hand.
He goes into compliance, though. You got to give him that.
He sounds drunk or out of breath. He sounds both.
Oh my God. Little Bob, $8.40 for $20.
What did he say?
Over on Rumble.
Oh, I'll go check.
I mean, this is a family show. I just,
I like Little Bob. Little Bob's been a good dude.
Reports coming from the afterlife have confirmed that John McCain
I heard this one.
Lindsey Graham's ladybugs threatening to cross the river Styx.
It's true.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham is probably really happy about he loves a good war. Both of these guys loved a good war. I mean,
don't tase me, bro. Did have that kind of energy, didn't it? So he got arrested at a briefing.
Yeah. So Padilla, huh?
Let me see. All right, here was... No, never mind. That's the press conference. Oh, there we go. This press conference literally begins with the incident.
Thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I wanted
Nice. It was in the YouTube chat too. Oh, I didn't see it in the YouTube chat.
He did not have the proper pin. That was it. That must have been it. But yeah, I saw something earlier that they ordered a whole IRS strike force in to try and investigate this as well. I have a feeling that a lot of what you're seeing in resistance-wise from New York politicians is interested self-defense.
Well, yeah. I think you're gonna. Specifically in California, I think you're gonna when they peel back the onion and unmask all of the kind of secrets. I think we're gonna find a lot of these people are in it up to their eyeballs, and it's not just a grift, a political grift. It's a personal grift, and I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't people on the take from criminal elements as well.
I think that's absolutely correct. Air defense activity finally reported in Tehran, according to Fars news agency.
Yeah, I'm just kind of before we call it a night. I'm just kind of going through and making sure that we've.
Oh, well, yeah. If we're in the wrapping up phase, let me just take a moment and just say that, listen, from this moment forward, any of the idiot, quote unquote, experts who have tried to tell you for the last 30 years that a peaceful resolution was possible with a nation who stated that its only declared goal is to wipe out another nation, and that nation says no, and that there was ever a peaceful solution possible for that, despite 30 plus years of the aggressor nation, Iran, stating they would do whatever it took to develop that weapon and destroy Israel, that no matter what negotiations happened or what deals they conceded to, ultimately that's what they were going to do. No peace was ever possible. And you need to turn to each and every one of those quote unquote experts and let them know what an absolute fucking ass and idiot they've been for their entire lives. They need to be paraded around the streets like the village idiot they've been the entire time.
Let's see. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi responding to the aggression is Iran's legal and legitimate right under Article 51 of the UN Charter. Iran's armed forces will not hesitate to defend the Islamic nation with all available strength and means. The Zionist regime could not have carried out this attack without the U.S. coordination and approval. The U.S. as a main backer will also bear full responsibility. So here's the thing. Okay, so what does this mean for us? Because we talked about this at the beginning of the show that not only are we going to talk about what's happening now, but what could happen. Okay, so let's go. Let's talk some worst case kind of scenarios here. We intimated it at the beginning when we kind of started shifting over to some domestic stuff, that there are people in America right now that would be more than happy to do the bidding of the mullahs in Iran. Now,
yeah, let's be honest, there's probably people loading mags right now.
Yeah. So what does this mean for you? Well, should you be paranoid and just like on edge? Well, maybe, but probably not. If you are like, I'm looking at the chat and I'm seeing names that I recognize. So if you are a normal viewer of ours, then I know you know how we think. You need to just be, you need, preparedness is not something that you do because Joe Biden's in office or because there's some volcano activity going on in Yellowstone or whatever, Jelly Bean National Forest. You do that because it's just something you need to do in life. It's like you buy car insurance, not because you're worried about you're going to get in a car wreck, because you have to. It's just the rules of the road, right? Life insurance is the same kind of thing. You don't get it because you expect to die. You get it just in case you do. Preparedness is the same way, right? And I will go so far as to say on the long end of the scale, preparedness is insurance. But I think the more you integrate that into your daily life, and my friend Watcher here has done a great job of doing that, becoming more sustainable when it comes to where his food comes from and the kind of ability to just sustain his daily life through the efforts of his labor. I think ultimately what you see is, preparedness makes your life better. It makes it, more fulfilling, and it gives you kind of just a really solid basis, not only to be able to live life, but to kind of stake your future on, right? So to that end, if you have not kind of like, if you haven't really kind of stepped in that direction, some really great things that you can do is there's a lot of free information out there. Just start looking into like, what do I need to do? Like to be ready, to be able to be self-sufficient for 30 days, right? Or shit, just for a week, like just try to be self-sufficient for a week. So what does that mean? That means food, that means money, that means other supplies that could be of use. You need to be able to defend yourself. You need to be able to defend your family. You need to have a network of people near you, so that it's kind of like you could go over to John the neighbor's house and say, "Hey, John, what have you heard anything? What's going on?" "Oh yeah, I heard some. I was over in the grocery store the other day, and the guy, the fire department guy that I know is." He's saying that they're doing some local preparedness, because they've heard there's some threats coming, through the state government has been talking about. So it's like these connections and these local networks are how you stay aware in your local environment. Now some of that is online, but let's be honest. I mean, one of the big targets would be power infrastructure, and it will be communications infrastructure. So you just need to be ready for that as well. So, maybe now's when you decide, hey, I'm going to make sure I have a Starlink or something like that as a backup, right? You don't have I have a friend who has Starlink, but he canceled his subscription after I think it's you pay for 3 months or whatever, and then he canceled it. So now he has the Starlink, but he can literally go online with it and turn it on anytime he wants. So maybe now is the time to do something like that. Maybe, hey, if you don't have Joe's books, that's I don't want to have
Joe's books now.
But Joe's books are literally probably 90% of what you need for most of the things that could happen. So that would be a great thing to do. If you've been putting off hey, I went to the range last month and I haven't bought any new ammo, maybe you get a couple new boxes and a couple hundred rounds of ammo, maybe a couple thousand rounds of ammo. I mean, depends on how you're built, right? And what your financial situation is. I know a lot of you guys out there are, you're doing okay, but you're getting by, right? It's you're not killing it, but at the same time, you're not starving. So you have to be circumspect in how you prep. There are little things that you can do. There are a lot of no-cost things that you can do to be ready. But ultimately, you need to keep your eye on your local networks. And I bet a large percentage of you guys are churchgoers. And those are great places to be able to meet people who have a similar worldview that you do. So, you've heard me and Joe and Watcher and Matt and probably everybody who's ever come on here has basically talked about the need to have those local networks and to have extended networks, to be able to kind of reach out to other parts of the country to get ground truth. So my recommendation would be to absolutely, make sure that all of those connections are solid. And you're staying plugged in. Terry Neat. I bought Joe's book 2 years ago. Well, I tell you what, I bet there are people in your life that don't have Joe's book. So maybe now's the time to, hey, it's not Christmas. It's Christmas in July coming up. So we're gonna get people Joe's book. The first one would be a great one to kind of whet their appetite on. So
people are asking if I'm gonna do a Riot Watch tonight. Does the Pope wear a funny hat?
Yeah, it seems like you guys have enough to be able to talk. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I've got so on just one screen right now, I've got Anaheim, Portland, Phoenix, Los Angeles, Seattle, and someone who's on a weird part of the Santa Ana.
Well, I tell you got a pretty good crowd here. Why don't you just start it up here? You can change the background, and then maybe I'll jump in here in a little bit and join you. Depending, I've skipped lunch, so.
Well, I do need to go on for a little bit of a break because I literally haven't eaten all day today, and I need to shower and a couple of other things. So we will end it, and then we'll go live. But I'll send you the link.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks. I haven't seen anything groundbreaking with Israel, Iran. Essentially, Iran's threatening the wind up is what they're doing now, and so we'll see. We'll see what the response looks like. I doubt it's going to be overwhelming because I feel like we would have already seen. Iran's top nuclear negotiator succumbs to injuries, so he has died. His top advisor, Ali Shamkhani, Supreme Leader Khamenei's top advisor, and his lead nuclear has died from his injuries sustained last night at his Tehran home. He wasn't just the negotiator; he was one of Iran's most powerful security figures with decades of influence across the IRGC and the intel apparatus. Yeah, Trump told Fox there will be several people in leadership that will not be coming back.
You don't say.
Yeah, right. Surprise, surprise, surprise. IRGC vows severe response after top commander killed in Israeli strike. Here's my question to you guys is that with Israel, it's way harder today for them to strike back against Israel outside of nukes than anything else. Super chat. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Terry Nee. I didn't see that one. Will we be seeing Malcolm Nance in Iran or Israel? Stand by. Stand by. If we're lucky, we will never see him ever again. Here's the reason why I kind of got a little bellicose there about preparedness is that when Iran says that they're going to hold the U.S. responsible, that very well could be IRGC attacks on the U.S. homeland. And I don't trust them. I don't trust that they will not. Oh, shit. Where did this come from?
I don't know. I didn't see that either.
It was their first. It was like.
I think Robert Chalk is the same as.
As Little Bob.
He gave it in both places.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate you. I honestly didn't see this one.
Everything. How did we not see that?
I know. It came in at 12:28 p.m. my time, so that's over an hour, about an hour and a half ago, and we've been going for an hour, so like 10 minutes into the show. Sorry, Bob, we didn't see it. I honestly didn't see it. All right, I'm just kind of going through, and that's about all I'm seeing here. Well, Watcher, I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and keep the regular show time. You know, if a fucking atom bomb goes off, we may change the focus of the Riot Watch. And so if that occurs, we will keep you guys abreast. Watcher, any final thoughts or words?
No. I'll see you guys real soon. Thanks for showing up.
I appreciate you guys for showing up. Thank you for all the supporters, a lot of super chats, a lot of gifted memberships. We really appreciate you guys just showing up. Hope we were able to give you guys some good insight on this. We'll be watching the news and we'll have more.
That's it. Real quick, that is a good question. For a good sign-off question, is there any chance of us getting the 1979 hostages back?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I can we get our embassy back? That's what I want to know. All right, gentlemen, Watcher. That's all I got. Chat, you guys are awesome. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. We're live on 3 streams, so wherever you find us, we appreciate you guys for being with us. And as always, stay safe.